Hey guys, we are back with some keys to success. I know you've been wanting them. I know you've been feeling for them. So we got to make sure we give you your daily dose or your weekly dose, however you want to go about it. And of course, we're back. It's your boy K to Don.
And I'm Natika.
And me, I'm Saxa Shaolin.
Exactly. We're back in the game. Sorry, we just kind of threw that on you.
You're like, me?
That was good. But yeah, we want to give you guys some keys to success. We know that that's what you guys come for the inspiration. And of course, we're doing this for you guys. So subscribe, show some love in the comments, like, share with your friends, because, you know, we're dropping these free keys. And you can really support by downloading that Love First TV app, downloading and subscribing to a plan. And if you don't have it already,
what are you waiting for? Go.
Exactly.
Hello.
And what we're going to talk about I seen this article. It was about success demands these 6 things, the secret formula. I'm going to throw in a 7 because I like the number 7. So we're going to throw in a 7
number
from the
7.
end. Exactly. So I want to know, because I got a good team with me with successful people around me. I like this vibe, this energy. Mm-hmm. So I want to know if we agree with these things, if it makes sense. It says 1, hard work. Don't believe in luck. Believe in hard work. Stop trying to rush the process or searching for a shortcut. There is none. Do we agree with that? Me personally, I feel like that is important. I feel like a lot of everywhere, but especially like music, I see it the most, is like people are just looking for shortcuts. But everywhere, like people are just continuously looking for shortcuts instead of putting in that work. Like we talked about building that fan base, impacting the culture. And it's like people will be just looking for someone to just come save them and invest in them. Like if you're not making that impact, how do you think that investment relationship going to be?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you magically do get invested in, which is going to be the small percentage, then you're not going to be able to have control on anything because you didn't bring nothing to the table.
Right.
You know, you have to bring more to good music. But I want to know, how do you feel about the hard work aspect of it?
I mean, I'm Asian.
Yeah.
It's like,
So that's your answer, right?
yeah, it's in my blood, man. It's what we're built for.
Exactly.
Listen, you said it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I've learned the hard way, and through that I've learned that the long game is what you got to do. You got to play the long game, and then you're going to see the fruits of your labor eventually, you know, if you keep doing it.
Absolutely. And, you know, and that leads into number 2. So I feel like you agree just based off what you said, which was patience. If you're losing the patience, you're losing the battle. First, nothing happens, then it happens slowly, and suddenly all at once. Most people give up at stage 1.
Yeah.
But you kick it with that one first.
So the first person that comes to mind when you mentioned this was Aaliyah Sheffield. Shout out Aaliyah Sheffield.
Yeah.
We know Aaliyah. She had been grinding and performing. She had done all kinds of gigs and stuff. She's an amazing singer-songwriter. She's now signed to Def Jam.
Fire.
And I've talked about her like several times on the podcast, but she had been releasing music. She had been singing in bands. She had been doing a lot. And like she reached a point where she just had to pack her bags and move back home. And then the pandemic hit, and like there wasn't really much going for her. And then she just went on YouTube and started up. Oh yeah, and she just like left. She to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
She moved to Mexico. She was like, I can't with this country anymore. So she left. And in Mexico, she was just like she was planning on living like the rest of her days there, and started uploading songs to YouTube.
Yeah.
And the songs would be titled like, this song is for people who are tired of people, or like this song is for, she'd like say like, this song is written for Jasmine Sullivan or something, you know. And then she wrote, this song is, I forget what it was, like Earth is So Ghetto, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her song took off.
Yep.
And I remember seeing her follower count go from like the hundreds to the thousands, and she was overwhelmed. She was like absolutely overwhelmed. And I remember you stepped in to help her too.
Yeah, we did for like a couple months.
Yeah. And she was just like, it was like a switch. And like to the average person, someone would see that as like an overnight success. But like there was at least a decade's worth of her trying before she was able to see that success.
Yeah.
So I like when you mentioned that, she was the first person that I thought of.
Yeah, and it's so weird. Like you said, people look at this overnight success just because they seen it. No, like do your research.
Yeah.
Patience is there. You relate to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, music is a long, like you said, it's a long game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a kind of industry. If you don't have the patience for like, and we're talking about patience like throughout your lifetime.
Yeah.
Because music is a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have that patience, it's hard to last in this industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And best believe it will touch your patience.
Yeah.
Like I say, don't have that little patience if you're gonna give up because you just wasted your time. Like you either had to have patience or you not. Like it makes me think of a book a lot of successful people read. Think Rich, Grow Rich, and
Man,
they
I'm not
talk
successful
about.
then because I haven't read that book.
Hey, check that out.
Okay.
And at least get the little synopsis going on.
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version.
The Cliff Notes. But they talk about the treasure, right? They're talking about when you're digging for the treasure, people will give up, and then someone else will come just dig that last 1 foot. It was 1 foot away, and because they stopped digging, the next person came, and all they had to do. Shovel one time, they got that whole treasure that they spent all that time for, and I seen it happen to friends, family, like just every which way, so you gotta have that patience. You gotta be in it for the long run. If you're gonna do it, you gotta make your mind to do it. Like I'm here to
it's
do
like
it.
That treasure analogy is great. I'm a hold on to that one because that's like I always find it with artists who are kind of ahead of the envelope with a sound.
Yeah.
And they're like fresh, they're new, they do this sound and then maybe they're so ahead that no one likes them yet. And then I see so many of them just fizzle out because they don't have the patience. And then someone picks it up. Someone picks up that sound because they love them, do the same thing, just updated the production by 5 years, and then boom, it blows.
Winning.
And then everyone hates.
For real.
And then they get mad. They're like, "Oh no, that was my sound." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, you should have kept doing it."
You gave it up.
Yeah.
You gave up that treasure. You can't be like it's your treasure when you dropped your shovel and left.
Yeah.
The next one, sacrifice. Number 3, sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes the sacrifice. Everything has its price. The question is, are you ready to pay it for the life? Are you ready to pay it for the life you desire? I thought it said some Illuminati thing for a second. I'm gonna let you kick off this.
I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah, that last. No. All right, so it's not as bad as I thought. No, it says, "Are you ready to pay for it for the life you desire?" Are you ready to sacrifice to make it happen?
I don't know. I'm conflicted about this one. Because I understand what it's trying to say. Like there are gonna be sacrifices. Yeah, there are trade-offs. But I hate this notion that you gotta give up your life for anything in this world. There's no one thing in this world that demands you to give up your entire life for it.
Yeah.
And like dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to it. Unless it's like God or something,
But like, oh yeah. Keep going.
No. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like people who like dedicate way too much of their lives to music. I mean, sometimes they're usually successful, but they end up assholes. Yeah. And I'm like, that doesn't last you their whole life.
Yeah.
And I agree. I just want to bring another perspective to it, right? Because I see people try to take the easy way out. Like, I'm gonna give up I'm sacrificing my responsibilities over here so I could do music over here. Like, no, I feel like the sacrifice is you might have a little less sleep because you have to live your regular life. You got to do your responsibilities, and you got to do music. Someone's gonna be sacrificed. Like, it might be, hey, the time that I spent sneaker shopping, I don't know, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, but it's like something has to go. It doesn't necessarily have to, be the other Illuminati type stuff. As we pass it to Natika.
So, I agree with both points you both are making, and in a way to relate this to me personally, I've had conversations with my parents about dedicating my career to music, and I think now they're starting to understand, but there's still something in the back of their head that's just like, maybe this is like too much of a costly decision. It's just like, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I want to do this. I've wanted to do this since I was 14 years old, and I just didn't know how.
Yes.
And I was just like trying to figure that out. And that's like you were saying, like you are figuring out your sound, what you are, like same thing with me. And like when my mom was telling me, she was like asking me a question about, oh yeah, so this extra gig that you got, you're going to be saving towards buying a house, right? And I'm like, no, I'm going to be using that money for my music. This is an investment. This is an investment. Just as buying a house is an investment, investing in your music career or in whatever you do is just as important. You know, that's the sacrifice I'm making. And it's not like I'm not saving for other things. It's just that like I'm focusing on this thing because that's where I need my attention to be at the moment.
Absolutely.
That's the business you're growing right now.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely, because people invest in a lot of other things. And it's crazy because a lot of people will look at people differently or crazy for investing in themselves. But be like, why are you not investing in someone else? Why are you not investing in this company or doing this and that or over there when this is like yourself? And even the number one thing, no matter what happens, did you live a happy life? If this is what makes you happy and you have this vision, then I had a better life than anybody can say. I got no complaints. I'm doing my dream.
Yeah,
you know.
At least you tried. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and you're happy doing it. And I think some people don't appreciate the journey because when you get to the top, like when I look at Drake leaving the store and there's a whole big crowd screaming, I don't look at that as fun. I'm like, yo, that's a lot of anxiety. You know what I mean? Like you can't even step out. Something crazy could happen everywhere you go. So like sometimes just appreciating this journey of this mid-level, you know what I mean? That we could actually still go to the store, but we're actually having fun. We could actually buy something with something we did off music, you know what I mean? Which is dope, you know what I mean? So stuff like that. But as we get into our fourth key, this one I agree with wholeheartedly, and this is consistency. And it makes sense that, you know, after patience with the consistency. Consistency is what transforms average into excellence. Without consistency, you will never achieve greater success. Because I think a lot of people, it's almost like entitlement issues that I look at it. It's like they'll be like, I did something good here. I did something good 2 months ago. I did something good a month ago. That's average. Like you should want to be able to do. But excellence is I'm continuously doing it. Every time you see me, I'm doing it. And if it's not every time, it's most of the time. You know what I mean? And just showing that, hey, more than half of the times, I'm about to execute. I'm about to come with that work. I'm about to get it done. And that's what makes excellence. It's going to build relationships. It's going to build you. It's going to build your brand. It makes you unstoppable. A lot of people fall off due to lack of consistency. It's not the talent. It's not the gift. It's not the mindset. It's just the consistency. Are you consistently doing it? Who wants to take it next?
I'll take this one. I think I used to not care that much about that key to success. Like I heard it all the time, but I think what I always forgot, or what I'm realizing now, is the factor of time. Being consistent, even if you're doing the same thing, like because time is happening around you and the world is changing around you, if you maintain what you're doing, if the world's image of you shifts. You know what I mean? Like you could be playing the same song. I don't mean the same song, but let's say you might be doing the same type of music. If you continue doing that same sound, same type of music 5 years later, there's a different perception of that style now. You know, like people forget that. Yeah.
And even, because I'm passing to you next, but even like from average to excellence, right? It's like if you save $1 a day, right? That's $365 for the year. If you stay consistent, you save $1 a day for 10 years, you got $3,650. You do it for 20, you got over 6,000. And look how mundane this dollar was. Look how mundane the 365 was. But because you consistently did it, this thing is turning into thousands and thousands and thousands. So something average just turned excellent, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, let me pass that to you.
I mean, I agree with both of you. And I think that the consistency happens with, you have to establish a routine. And whatever that routine means to you, it doesn't have to be at the same time every day. It just has to be consistent, you know?
Yeah. That was That's a major key because when I started really establishing routine, oh man, it was so late in my life. But I'm working for these Fortune 500 companies, giving all these results, put it in over 40 hours for them. And then when it's time to work for myself, I had no schedule. I was scheduling out everything for these companies. I'm giving them all types of results I didn't even have in my own life. And then for them to like not care what happens the next year. So I was like, whoa, how can I put in all this work and not schedule my own stuff? Yo, my stuff started shooting off the scale when I started writing myself an 8-hour schedule. I was like, I'm gonna really write on my schedule. If I'm a professional musician, if I'm a professional businessman, if I'm a professional podcaster, I need to have a schedule. If I'm a professional content creators that are making money that or don't have other jobs and they're just content creators, they have a schedule. They're not just, I'm going to randomly drop something at this moment because I feel the urge. No, they're getting to the bag. This all depends on it. So they're like, I have to have a schedule, routine. I got to make sure I'm doing this. This is what's dropping.
Yeah.
You know? So if you want to get to that level, you need to do that now. You can't be like, oh, well, once I get there, I'm going to get it. You got to do it now.
Yeah.
I'll let you kick this one off first. Number 5, discipline. Motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going. There will be days when you don't feel like doing it. You have to push through those days regardless of how you feel.
I definitely struggle with this one because, and also the previous point, consistency. But with discipline, I think that personally, the way that I help myself create discipline is to take the emotion out of it and just be like, there is always art to be made, right? What I create now is just something that I might go back to or I might not. I don't know, but at least I put something out. Like I did something, and that's how I established discipline.
Yes.
Knowing that I did something rather than not doing anything.
That's good.
Yeah, no, discipline is so key to me. I ended up going back to Singapore when I was 18 to go. They have a conscript army. So I went back to serve in the army for 2 years. And every Singapore citizen has to do that. Every male Singapore citizen has to do that. And that was the biggest thing that experience taught me, was like that discipline. Because then what happens is like the days where you're not feeling it, the days where the emotions get in the way, if you are able to just stick to that routine, that dollar is still saved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether or not you wanted to, it's still saved.
Yeah.
And then it happens again the next day, and it continues. I think it kicks off that it like continues a cycle of consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was actually what I was gonna say too, because when you have that discipline, that's what keeps your routine going. Because you'll fall off your routine, not have that discipline, and then you'll find yourself not getting back to the routine. You know, like I've been doing like jogs, you know what I mean, to be in shape and stuff like that. And I've been on this rampage doing these crazy jogs for hours, even longer than I need to or should have in the sun. I've been getting tanned. And then I had a day where I was like, I did a lot this week. I'm gonna sit back. And I was like, you know what? Nah. I'm going to push myself and I'm going to do this. And then when I did that, I felt good about it. And it also kept me on my routine. And as I was doing it, I actually felt good. And what we have to understand is when we don't want to do something, we always have it in us to do it. I can't remember this exact phrase, but they always feel like it's a sports thing that they say it's like a certain percentage. When you feel like you're tired and you actually have nothing left and you're playing sports, you actually still have like 20%
Yeah,
left.
the 20%. Yeah.
Yeah. So they say you still have 20%. So you have to push yourself to get there and
It's the
realize
mentality.
I still have that 20%. Like now that I feel tired, like I can't move forward, all that means is I got 20%. And that's your second win.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So push yourself, get through that. Number 6, self-confidence. Confidence is, I'll be fine if they don't like me. There will always be someone judging you for who you are and what you want from life. Man, I'm going to kick this one off, right? Because I went through, I would say my high school years were probably my most unconfident time I've ever had.
Relatable.
And I was just following and stuff like that. But once I decided to step back, not follow, wear what I feel comfortable wearing, do what I feel comfortable doing, live how I feel comfortable living, you know what I mean? But have morals to it, But it literally changed. And then
Yeah.
the people around me changed, because now it's like, because this is what I'm gonna do, the people around me have to accept this.
Yeah.
So if you don't accept this, you're not around me. And guess what? If you are around me, you're actually accepting the real me. I don't have to be nothing different. I don't have to pretend. I can do this, and I can be the great me that I am, right? Because there's
Right.
no other me. There's no other you. And when we all try to follow and do what everybody else thinks is cool, you can't even be yourself, and you just started dimming your own light. And now you're around leechers that are dimming your light. So having that self-confidence of like, listen, I'm gonna go out and do this, man. I tell this joke all the time. Like, they call it the Jesus sandals. I will wear those bad boys. You know what I mean? Like,
Are you talking about Birkenstocks?
I'm not familiar with that vocabulary, but, but, you know, the Air Moses. No, but
It's the uncle shoes.
you know.
The uncle
But then
shoes.
I will walk out so comfortable. And I remember, like, this is my early 20s, and my boys be like, yo, look at you wearing the Air suit. You know, I'd be so confident, the girls just started liking it. So now I got the prettiest girls coming around, and what are the guys saying now? Like, dang, maybe I should be. They just loving the confidence. Like, I just spent like $800 on some shoes. He got the woman of my dreams, and he wearing Air Moses. You know, but having that confidence, it makes life easier for you. You don't have to deal with that extra pressure, and it really limits the moochers in your life. We'll let you take it, and then you end it.
I think this is really, really apparent for musicians and artists, performing artists,
Oh, yeah.
recording artists. You're the audience. We always like think the audience is like listening, you know. I mean, I may be, but I think the audience is watching and feeling more than listening. The audience can tell if you feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're confident on stage. That's really all they care about, I think.
Yo,
That's really,
you're right.
right? Because like you could play amazing. If you don't feel confident, then the audience is always like, "Oh." But you could play like 2 chords. You could sing one song really confidently, and the audience will latch on.
Yeah.
So I
totally.
think like I would say this is very, very key to any performing artist. Figure out like what is your bag. Be confident in that, and then like and let that confidence shine on stage. That's the only way.
Facts. I just want to give an example of how real that is, right? Like, think about in the 50s, right? Imagine somebody in the 50s doing the Soldier Boy dance, like, you crank that soda, they call it this a dance. They're like, are you crazy? But him having the confidence, it ended up turning into a song, a dance that everybody started doing.
Oh,
He's
yeah, I
a
remember those
multi-millionaire from that at 16 years old doing this weird dance. Like, how's this a dance? You know what I mean?
Or like,
but he's so confident with it.
Or like the Korean guy, I forget his name.
Psy?
Psy, there you go.
Yeah.
The Oppam Gangnam Style.
Yeah,
Just
you
like
know what I mean?
I just visited Seoul for the first time. I went to Gangnam. It's
Oh, wow.
Man, I gotta get out there,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
We gotta travel. Anybody that be traveling, man, just hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
We gotta go. New passport. We ready.
Yeah.
Self-confidence.
So with this one, I feel this a lot, and like this brings me back to a couple of things. When I was in my early 20s and feeling like I have this talent, but not feeling confident enough to do that, and like I felt like because I lacked the confidence, I sabotaged myself and I missed out on certain opportunities. And then I also think about like the way that it changed for me was not so much that I like gained the confidence, like it came out of nowhere. It was like the kind of thing where I had to like trick my brain and tell myself like there are other people who are mediocre, who are like they just believe in themselves, and who knows, maybe they're also struggling with confidence, but they're like faking it till they make it. And once I realized that, it like clicked, and I was like, wait, I'm just gonna like, pretend like I know what I'm doing, and then it's gonna help.
Yeah.
And there have been times where like I would say my very first public performance was an example of what not to do, and I was not prepared and I was not feeling confident, and I like forgot the words halfway through the song, and it was an a cappella song, so there was nothing to accompany me. Not only that, but the stage that I was standing on was like it was suspended by cables.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that when I got on that stage, it was like shaking, and Anyway, point is, I've been able to harness that lack of self-confidence and turn that into confidence, because when you're able to when you believe in yourself, this sounds so corny just saying that. When you believe in yourself,
Be real though.
people will believe in you. Mm-hmm. It's not so much like, hey, look at me. Like, I'm going to prove it to you. Just do it. Yeah. Just do it.
Right.
That's so real, because I remember when I first started doing music and no one believed in me, and I just tried to prove it. Yeah. And then to the point where everybody was on it, nobody's doubting. People that didn't even listen was like, yo, can I invest? Just because like, yo, things is happening. And I'm just like, yo, these people are really living in the world that's in my head. Like, I really vibrated the world in my head to outside. You know what I mean? And even another thing that I got from what you were saying is like, I think it's another level of self-confidence that even if you're not necessarily confident about what you're doing, but you're just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to do this because I want to do this. Yeah. And this is what makes me happy. I still think that's a level of self-confidence. It's like, yo, my I don't care button just took over how confident I was, and that's what gave me that self-confidence.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Number 7. So I'm going to add this number 7 because I feel like everything that we said is all easier said than done. What has helped me be able to do all these things was spirituality. Now, I'm not here to force spirituality on anybody. Everybody has their own different spirituality. Me, I believe in God and Jesus. But, like, what helped was me feeling like humans aren't randomly put on this planet. I don't randomly have this vision to go do this. I haven't randomly been doing this for so long. Mm-hmm. So having that spirituality and just knowing that anything is possible and nothing is random, that's what kept me pushing. That's what kept me going. And it made me feel like, yo, I'm here for a reason. I can do this for a reason. Came too far to go back now. And then that's what helped put these other keys in there for me. So does spirituality play a role in any of you guys' success at all?
I would say I identify a lot with you talking about, you believing in God and Jesus and stuff. And like, I'm not as religious as I used to be, but my entry point into music, like a lot of people who are raised Christian or Catholic or whatever, was through the church. So I definitely felt like I was able to make music, and like making that connection and stuff facilitated that. And I don't feel the same way that I do anymore, but when I do make music, there is a therapeutic aspect to that, something that it literally, it's relieving. This is the reason why I do music. Yes. And the reason why a lot of people do music, like it is therapy.
Mm-hmm. I thought I needed a therapist, that I did like a whole week of music, dropped like 10 songs. I was like, I'm good now.
yeah, man.
For real. What about you? Does spirituality, anything above it, help play or key success?
Yeah, it's a bit of a complicated subject for me, but like I can't deny that spirituality is a part of all the styles of music I play, like all the traditions of music I play. I mean, reggae is a spiritual art form. I mean, and then I also think spirituality can be outside of just like, what you think is like, like, I don't know. I come from a culture where I feel like you can have spirituality of a lot of things. You could have a spirit of like the dance, of like the dance floor of like, and I think and a lot of our music just taps into that. And when you're tapping into that, like, and you're tapping into that channel, then you hit it, like everyone feels it. Yeah. Everyone feels it. Yeah. Like no matter what language they speak or whatever, like when you see a good punk band and they're really hitting that spirit of like just aggression and like really like they're hitting that, and you just feel it. Like yeah.
And then that's why I say music is the universal language. Like people will feel it and learn it. And now I'm pretty sure you've even seen too, like there's been, especially, with American music being so big, like other countries have like learned English from listening to the music and just break those type of barriers, But, I'm curious, let us know in the comment section, what key stood out to you the most? What key do you feel like helped you, and how do you feel about these keys? Are there any keys you feel like we missed? let us know in the comment section. We're interested in hearing. Again, my good brother over here, where can they follow you? Where can they find you? You and your management company.
Yeah. Follow me at Sax of Shaolin. That's SHAOLIN. And at Resonator Arts. RESONATOR. ResonatorArts.com on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Nice. And Natika, of course.
And you can find me on all social media platforms at Natika Music, NETICA Music, all together.
All together, baby, every platform. You can follow me at The Real K to Don. K to Don on YouTube. I know the publicist was saying change it to The Real K to Don, so eventually. As long as you type K to Don, it's going to pop up. But more than that, follow that at Love First TV on Instagram. We're only a few followers away from our next, the number might change by then, so I'm not going to throw out exact numbers, but we're doing pretty good. So please just keep following us, especially on Instagram, or follow us on Facebook, and of course the app. Download and subscribe. And remember,
what I hate when you can love first. It's the Love First podcast.
Yeah.
Don't cry when I come around. I want to see you smile. Don't cry when I come around. I want to see you smile. You can call me daddy, 'cause I'll always be here to hold you tight in my arms and protect you. You could call me daddy, 'cause I'll always be here to hold you tight in my arms and protect you.